Folks, I've got with me a very intriguing gentleman who's Canadian and who also sings very well. His last album is even Every Rome Needs an Euro.
Exactly.
The tracks are amazing. I know that the album was released last year, so it was released in 2024. Yes.
Yes, technically, I haven't had my CD release. It's going to be coming up in May, but it was
Oh, okay.
officially released. It was officially released for purchasing and downloading in November, end of October, beginning of November.
Okay. So, Alfie, how long have you been actually actively playing music?
As a professional, I started playing professionally when I was about 17 or 18 years old. I started playing guitar when I was about 11. And I've done it as my full-time career when I was started when I was about 19. I quit university, or not university, college, and I just started playing full time.
Okay. So you pulled an apple. Basically, that's what you decided to do. But I'm kind of glad that you decided to go full time and do it professionally. The caliber of the music based on the album details that I actually managed to listen to are amazing. And the fact that you're releasing very soon, the official release means that you can submit it to a lot of festivals, a lot of competitions, and per se in regards to the blues.
Yeah,
Um,
the official release was back in November because there's like a sweet period where you can apply for 2 years in a row,
yep.
and just that way we get the most. Not to talk about the politics of music, but that way you get the most bang for the buck.
Well, that's good. Now, how long have you been doing the blues? I'm assuming that you probably started somewhere else. You're a classical guitarist or a classical pianist, and then decided to go down the lines to what you're doing now.
Well, I started in a very. My uncle was like what do I- my uncle was a very good musician, a hobbyist always. Like he has made money at it, but he's never been a full time musician. But he was
Okay.
in the bluegrass tradition, and bluegrass and blues are very related. They use the same chord progressions, a lot of the same lyrics. They steal from each other. Um, and so it was an. I've always loved the blues. Like when I was a little kid, my dad had an 8-track player, and one of the CDs was Hooker and Heat, which was John Lee Hooker and Canned Heat. They did a duo record, and I was listening to that, and that really influenced me, and I've always loved it. And then when I was about 11 or 12, the movie Crossroads came out with Ralph Macchio. Um,
Yes.
I know it's a cheesy way to, say I was influenced by the Karate Kid to play the blues. Uh, but little did I know when I was 11, 12-year-old boy, that's Ry Cooder playing all the slide, right? So I fell in love with his playing, and he's my hero. Like if I ever, not that I sound anything like him, but he's someone that I really admire.
Well, the admiration is great, but you're a man of your own girth in regards to musical prowess. When did you actually start recording the album? Because there's always a process, and it's either within a matter of days or a matter of weeks or months, depending on what's happening behind the scenes.
This was a really unique way to record an album for me. Mostly, as I've been a professional musician my whole entire life, I've never had any real money. So it's always been, 2 days of recording, 1 day of mixing, and then you put it out. Because if you spend any more time than that, you don't have any money left to make, like when you sell the product, you
Hmm.
don't have any, there's no financial gain. Like you'll just lose money and lose money and lose money. So you have to make it as a viable interest. But with this, it was very interesting. Friends of mine are in the band called Monster Truck, and
Hmm.
they've done very well for themselves. And I was invited to play on their record some slide guitar. They wanted to have some slide, and so I came in and I recorded with them at their rehearsal slash studio. And so I fell in love with their space, and just I was always friendly with him. And then just we became friends. And during COVID, the main producer, Brandon Bliss, um, he's the keyboard player for Monster Truck. We decided to start working together. I said, "Would you mind if I recorded here?" And he said, "Sure, no problem. I want to build my, resume, and you're someone I admire, and we have mutual admiration." And literally, we took 2 years recording the thing, like piecemeal. Like this is during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were bored. We didn't know if there was going to be any industry left at the end of it. So it's just like, well, let's record, right? So we did. And because of that, it allowed me to have much more time than any other record I've ever done.
Okay. Well, the time well spent, I think.
Yeah. Thanks.
So you did the recordings during that period, and how much more time did you require to do the mixing, the mastering, and then releasing?
It's been slow because everything's slower than it has been. Like there'd always be an urgency before to get it out as quickly as possible. But I didn't feel that quite as much because not everything's back the way it has been. Like, and so we took our time. Like even the mixing took like a couple of months because he did it on his own. Like he just did it piecemeal, and he also started a label in that time frame too called Gilded Tooth, and so because of that, it just took a little more time than it normally would have. Like the past, I won't want it out as soon as possible because then you can start making money.
Well, it's what greases the gears of the industry, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that you did it successfully. The one thing that I'd like to know, I know that you sing, you wrote the songs, you also play guitar. Is there any other musical instruments that you like to dabble with or that you're successful at playing?
I play almost anything with strings and frets. I don't use bows at all, but like I play mandolin a bit. I didn't record on mandolin on this album, but I play like 5-string and 6-string banjo. I play lap style, and I also make most of my living by playing slide and guitar.
Oh, okay. Now, apart from you being and the epitome of the Canadian blues singer, songwriter, currently, where do you base yourself for a home? Basically, are you living in the same province that you started off at, or did you move?
Yep. I've been born and raised in Hamilton. I literally moved out of Hamilton for 1 month for a previous relationship, and it didn't take, and I've come back. Hamilton has always been a very good music scene, and it's a nice central hub city in southern Ontario because you're only about an hour away from most of the major cities, so you can get to Toronto or Kitchener or Niagara Falls. So you have a big market that you don't have to go far from, and you're close to airports, and it's been a really good base, and it's been a really supportive society.
Okay. Now, the supporting society brings me to the next question. As a person, because you're not just a musician, you're not just a man with glasses who looks like a very big bass player, but what do you do on downtime? Do you have time for hobbies or anything else that would be not musically related? I'm assuming the answer is probably no, but I'll ask the question nonetheless.
Outside of spending time with my family, I'm pretty involved with raising. I have 2 younger children, 13 and 9-year-old. So a lot of my time is spent with them if I'm not gigging. So it's either gigging, raising my children. I also run a guitar swap meet once a year because I love guitars. As an early lover of guitars, I knew I was always going to be buying and selling guitars, so I got good at it so I don't go broke. And during COVID, I actually did it a little bit more, like the flipping of guitars, like buying guitars, fixing them up, selling them off. And it's been like a little side business just because, in this economy, you have to be a little more of a have a hustle going on the side.
So yes, but yours is appropriate for what you do.
Yeah.
I've never been able to fix anything other than the little bits and bobs, but you're like Travis Furlong here in Moncton, New Brunswick. He actually is a blues man, and he currently does have some of his own chops in fixing and revamping guitars and anything with strings that he knows how to fix.
Hmm.
So, uh, apart from that, now that you've said that, it makes sense. And family man, family has to be always next to you. And would you say that they've played a huge responsibility in giving you the get out and go support?
Yes, they make me want to reach farther. They make me want to do better for myself. But um, they've also taught me that um, not everything is that important too. You know, if a gig gets canceled, or if it doesn't go as well as you can, it's not that big of a deal. It's not worse than my son scraping his knee. That makes me much more upset than the smaller things. It puts it in
Mhm.
perspective that other things don't matter quite as much.
Yeah. Now, this album is last year. Is there anything else that you're currently dabbling in that's going to be coming down in the event horizon that we're seeing right now?
Well, I'm going to be doing a music video or two for this record. Hopefully, I've already booked about 5 or 6 festivals for the summer,
Nice.
and I'm hoping to book a few more. I'm playing in Mexico again in October, November. I
Oh,
play a
wow.
little festival on Isla Mujeres. It's called Isla Got Soul. It's an amazing little festival. It's just about 5 or 6 Canadian musicians go down. Not specifically blues. I'm actually the only real blues person there. Some of them are like more pop, rock and roll, and some of them are like reggae style stuff. And it's interesting. And then we play with the locals, and we also run because there's a lot of musicians on Isla, like locals, and we also have an outreach program where me and a friend of mine, he started it, where we set up and maintain some of their instruments that don't get the same, because there's not that many good repair people um, down there. So we help maintain the locals' instruments too when we're there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's actually a very positive thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Cubans trying to maintain their pianos because pianos rot due to the humidity,
Exactly.
and they try to keep them up and going and tuned as best as possible. You're
Yeah.
fixing, and you're going to be fixing or tuning whatever that is brought to you with you and your friend. And you've been
Hmm.
doing this for how many years now?
I've played the festival 5 or 6 years. We started doing the repair last year.
Okay,
Last year
so
was the first time.
basically you and your friend are going, hey, how about we actually do this as a positive thing to help
Yeah,
the local musicians?
and he's much more skilled at the actual repair work. Like, I'm good with basic setups, but he's better with, especially in a situation where you have to be, like, because we do it in one day.
Okay,
He makes his living as a luthier in Minnesota. And so he'll bring his soldering iron and he'll swap out pickups, because he'll talk to some of the local musicians, and they'll have bought the pickup for an upgrade, or he would have bought it for them, and he will install the pickup while we're there. I'm more in
nice.
charge of unstringing, cleaning the fretboard, setting it up properly. That's my job more, because he's the specialist.
Okay. Then depending on the guitar, I'm assuming there's probably some type of oil or some type of non-damaging solvent that you tend to use to clean your fret.
Yeah, it's basically you get a generic, Martin or D'Addario lemon oil, and then you oil the fretboard, you clean it, and that sort of thing. And You don't really have to. It's more instruments are much worse in dry climates like Canada if you don't humidify them. In their instruments swell a bit. When you swell
Okay.
an instrument, it doesn't really crack. It just the action gets a little too low. So you just have to. But it's easier to compensate. I'd rather have an instrument that's over humidified than under humidified.
Oh, really? Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that in your house, your instruments are humidified.
Yes, they are. Much to my wife's chagrin, I have a room that's like pretty much all guitars, and there have a humidifier in there, and then I have individual ones in each case. It's like it's like I say, I don't have to worry about them as much as my children, but I do worry about them, and you treat them in a similar fashion.
Yeah. The last question I'd like to ask is it's an odd one, but I like to pose it to everyone I meet. Um, what's your favorite food dish?
Um, it would probably be a roadie place in Burlington called The Hot Shop. And there's something about the way they make their curries really nice. That would be one of my
Oh,
top three meals. Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm happy that you enjoyed that meal. Alfie, I hope that one of these days we'll get to see you in the Atlantic. uh,
Yeah, I would love to.
the Maritimes is pining for bluesmen traveling through and doing their living as they actually stop at places along the way. But this interview is worth its weight in gold. I thank you so much for taking the time to do this, taking you away from your family, taking you away from your guitars.
I
But
have one on the bed in case you had a question about one. So
well, do you
not my
what
family. My
your bed? What's the guitar that you decided to bring and show us? Oh my God!
uh, this is a national radio tone. It's one of a kind. They had a bad batch of finish a number of years ago, so the finish would just kind of bubble up a bit. So I
Hmm.
was able to send it back to the factory, and it was normally a sunburst one, so it would be like brown and yellow in the center. And when they
Hmm.
refinished it, I said, "Would you mind just doing it all black because it's got the nice white binding?" And they did, so it's one of a kind.
And you play slide on that, or do you play it?
Yeah,
Do
slider standard, depending on what is.
you have a
Like,
tune that you'd like to just give us a few strings off?
sure, I can play something for you. My hand's a little cold. We'll see.
I
Not
get
sure
it,
how well
mate.
that came through.
Well, it came through well enough that we know that you're made of strong blues metal. Folks, if you want to know more about Alfie, he's got a website, he's available online. He also has this beautiful album, For Every Roam. There's a Nero. Trust me on this, it's worth a listen from start to finish.